Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for today's edition of the Shulchan Aruch. Sorry, not the Shulchan Aruch, and Daf Yomi. We're doing Menachot Daf 83 Omid A. So today we're going to use this by Aiden's Translate edition. And may his memory be for blessing who brought the beauty of Gemara to a new generation. This daf is a tapestry of intricate legal discussions woven from the threads of the Torah's commandments concerning sacrifices. The sages are grappling with the precise nature of sanctification. When does an animal or offering truly become holy and thereby subject to the laws of temple service? The primary question that accompanies our sages is a fascinating one. What is the source of the law that a sanctified animal's offspring and milk do not become holy themselves? The Gemara seeks a verse to support this, and in doing so, it engages in a beautiful textual analysis comparing the laws of various sacrifices: the chatat, the sin offering, the ashram, the guilt offering, and the shlam, and the peace offering. We see a deep-seated principle at play. A sanctified item sanctifies that which is contained within it, but not that which is a product of it. This seemingly subtle distinction has profound implications of how we understand the very nature of holiness in the temple. The daf takes us on a short trip, but illuminating side trip, discussing the laws of communal peace offerings, specifically the two lambs brought in Shavua. The central debate is whether these offerings are eaten exclusively by male priests, similar to a Menachot offering, or if they are subject to a different set of rules. The sages, as is in their way, particularly compare and contrast different biblical verses to arrive at their conclusions, showing us the incredible precision and depth of their interpretive methods. Ultimately, the daf concluded a powerful lesson about the nature of Pesach Passover offering that was designated but not brought. The Gemara teaches that in such a case, the animal is not simply left to waste, but instead sacrificed as a shlomim. This highlights a fundamental concept in halacha, a commitment into the service of God. Even when the original intention cannot be fulfilled, it's always to be honored and brought to its holiest possible conclusion. It's a testament to the sages' unwavering dedication to the divine purpose behind every mitzvah. Let us begin our journey in this rich and rewarding page of the Talmud. May our learning be for the sake of heaven and bring light to our souls. So let's dive straight in. So we'll start from the end of the previous Omid. The Gemara continues to expound the aforementioned verse in Leviticus 7:37. When the verse mentions a meal offering, it teaches that just as a meal offering is eaten only by males of the priesthood, see Leviticus 6:9-11, so too are all the offerings mentioned in this verse eaten only by males of the priesthood. The Gemara asks, with regard to what offering is this halacha? Is it that this halacha must be derived? If one suggests that it is with regard to the sin offering and the guilt offering, the halacha is explicitly written of them. When with regard to the sin offering, it is stated, every male among the priests may eat, Leviticus 6:22. And with regard to the guilt offering, it is stated, every male among the priests may eat of it, Leviticus 7:6. If one suggests that halacha must be derived with regard to the communal offerings, the verse states with regard to the communal peace offerings, that they shall be holy to the Lord for the priest in Leviticus 23:20, and the sages derived from this that they consider offerings of the most sacred order in the Vacham 55b, Arichin 11b. It does not state that they are consumed only by priests. The two lambs that were sacrificed as communal offerings on Shavuot, together with the offering of the two loaves in Leviticus 20:19. This halacha derived from the amplification of the verse stated with regard to meal offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings. The verse states, in a most sacred place shall you eat of it. Every male may eat it. In Numbers 18:10, and it is taught in a Braita. The verse teaches with regard to the communal peace offerings that are eaten only by males of priestly families. The Gemara explains this is a dispute between Tanaim. There's one Tana who cites it, the halacha that only males of priestly families may eat of the communal offering. From here, the President mentioned explicitly with regard to the meal offerings, and there's one Tana who cites it from there, either the amplification of the verse stated with regard to meal offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings. The Gemara continues expounding the verse. This is the law of the burnt offering, of the meal offering, of the sin offering, of the guilt offering, and of the oblation offering, and of the sacrifice of peace offerings. Sin offering teaches, just as with regard to a sin offering, whatever it touches is sanctified. So it touches is sanctified. If the meat of a sin offering touches another item, the item is imbued with the sanctity of the sin offering only if it absorbs the flavor from it. If the meat touches a wafer And so the Sefer is absorbed within part of the wafer, only that part is sanctified. As in the Rambam Sefer Vod Hilchot Maaseh Korbanot 8:16-17. Through this substance that becomes absorbed, so too for all offerings mentioned in this verse, whatever they touch is sanctified through absorbed portions. Guilt offering teaches, just as with regard to a guilt offering, a fetal sac and a placenta are not sacred within it. Some commentators explain, in accordance with the literal meaning of this phrase, that an unborn fetus does not become sacred while still in its mother's body. Therefore, if a fetus is found within the body of an offering after it has been slaughtered, the state of the flesh is non-sacred, and that's in the Rashi Tosfot and Zvachim 898b. By contrast, Rashi on Zvachim 98b explains, in accordance with the Braita cited in Chon 75a, when the fetus of a consecrated animal is not consequently non-sacred, rather this is teaching with regard to the fetus is fat and kidneys, which are part of an offering normally consumed on the altar, that are not brought on the altar together with the corresponding part of the mother. This is so because with regard to the guilt offering, which is always a male, this part of its fetus can never be consumed on the altar. So too with regard to a peace offering, which may also be a female animal, but part of the fetus are never consumed on the altar. Because a guilt offering is always male, and as such never holds a fetal sac or placenta, so too for any offerings mentioned in the verse, a fetal sac and a placenta are not sacred if found within it. The Gemara notes, evidently this Tana holds that with regard to an offering of sacrificial animals, they are sanctified only as they are. If one thought that a sin offering finds a live fetus within it, a fetus may be eaten only according to the restrictions that apply to the meat of the sin offering, as offspring of consecrated animals are sanctified within the mother's body. This ruling is in accordance with the Braita, Tumah 11a, Rambam Sefer Korbanot Hilchot Tumah 4:3, from the moment of their birth, but not utero. He also holds that one derives the possible from the impossible, so that the halacha of a fetal sac and placenta in the case of female animals is derived from the halacha of a male animal. Inauguration offering teaches, just with regard to the inauguration offering, the rams and the bread of which were brought during the 7 days of inauguration of the tabernacle, and which the priest ate, leftovers disposed of by incineration, as is stated. And if any of the flesh of the inauguration offering of the bread remained until the morning, then you shall burn the remainder with fire. This is 29:34. And there were no living animals counted among their leftovers disposed by incineration. So too, for all offerings mentioned, their leftovers are disposed of by incineration. There are no living animals counted among the leftovers disposed of by incineration. Accordingly, if one sanctifies two animals, so that either one may be brought if the other is lost, when one animal is sacrificed, the surviving animal is not killed and incinerated. Peace offering teaches that just as with regard to the peace offering, its components may render components of the offering pigul and are rendered pigul. According to some, the statement simply means the halacha of pigul applies to a peace offering. After all, the halacha of pigul is stated in the Torah specifically with regard to a peace offering. Tosfot on Zvachim 98b. Rashi explains, as does Rabbeinu Gersh Mohagola, the statement indicates a different halacha. If the peace offering becomes pigul, it also renders its accompanying libation pigul. Zvachim 28b. So too, with regard to all offerings mentioned in this verse, their components are the components of the offering pigul and are rendered pigul. It was taught in a Braita in the name of Rabbi Kiva that the verse states, this is the law of the bread offering, of the meal offering, and of the sin offering, and of the guilt offering, and of the inauguration offering, and of the sacrifice of peace offering, Leviticus 7:37. From the term meal offering, it is derived just as with regard to a meal offering. Whatever it touches is sanctified through the substance that becomes absorbed. As is stated, whatever shall touch them shall be sacred. Leviticus 6:11. So too, for all offerings mentioned in this verse, whatever they touch is sanctified through the absorbed portions. The Gemara notes, and it is necessary to write the halacha of absorption with regard to sin offering, and it is necessary to write the halacha of absorption with regard to a meal offering. As had the Menachot one written this halacha only with regard to a meal offering, I would say that since it is soft, it is absorbed and therefore sanctifies what it touches. But with regard to the meat of a sin offering, I would say that it does not sanctify what it touches. And had the Menachot one written this halacha only with regard to a sin offering, I would say that it is because, on account of its fattiness, the meat penetrates. Kadir. Some of the commentators explain this word to mean penetrate, while others explain it to mean absorb. Rashi renders it in Old French, seret, meaning highly absorbent. And whatever it touches and sanctifies it, but with regard to a meal offering, I would say it is not sanctified with touches, therefore it is necessary for the Torah to write both. The cited Braita continues. Sin offering teaches, just as a sin offering is bought only from non-sacred animals, and it is sacrificed specifically in the daytime, and its service must be performed in the priest's hand, so too all offerings mentioned are bought only from non-sacred animals and are sacrificed specifically in the daytime. All the offerings in the temple are brought only during the daytime, as is stated in Leviticus 7:38, on the day of his commanding Mom Sefer 4:1. And each one's service must be performed in the priest's right hand. The temple service must always be performed with the right hand. If it's performed with the left, the service is not valid, but no lessons are incurred, and that's Mom Sefer 5:18. And with regard to the sin offering itself, from where do we derive that it's brought only from non-sacred animals? Rav Hizda said is derived from a verse, as the verse states, and Aaron shall present the bull of the sin offering which is his, Leviticus 16:11. The teach that the animal comes from his cattle and not from money with which the second tithe has been redeemed. The Gemara asks, why does it derive from the halacha of the sin offering that an offering is sacrificed in the daytime? This is principle derived from the expression on the day of his commanding, Leviticus 7:38, which is understood to be referring to all offerings. The Gemara answers, indeed, the Braita cited a principle from the model of the sin offering for no reason, kedei for no reason. This word means for naught or needlessly. Some maintain that it is an abbreviated form of the Aramaic kediv and the Hebrew ketsav, meaning falsehood. Some say that this is an abbreviated form of kedai, meaning as it is. Accordingly, the term would indicate the matter was cited as it is, although it is unnecessary for the discussion at hand. And it was mentioned here on account of the other principle. The Gemara asks, why must the Braita teach that the halach of the sin offering teaches that the rite of offerings must be performed with the priest's right hand? It isn't derived from the statement of Rabbi Baba Hana, as Rabbi Baba Hana says, the Beis Lakish says, in any place in the Torah that it is stated that an action is performed with a finger, or that it is performed by priesthood, the halacha is that the rite is performed only with the right hand. And this is derived from the Torah statement with regard to the leper, and the priest shall dip his right finger in Leviticus 14:16, and the Gemara answers, the Braita cited the principle from the model of a sin offering for no reason, since it is actually derived from Rabbi Baba Hana's statement. The cited Braita continues, guilt offering teaches, just as with regard to a guilt offering, its bones have no sanctity and are permitted for any use, so too with regard to any mentioned offering, its bones are permitted. With regard to all offerings that are eaten, except for the Paschal offering, the leftover bones are permitted for use, and one may fashion them into any utensil he wishes. In the case of bones containing marrow or bones to which flesh is still attached, those must be burned. Rambam Sefer Hilchot Ma'aser Kabbalah 10:10 and Hilchot B'Tulei Makdushin 19:9. Citing a teaching Rashi in Zvachim 98a explains that all of the meat, as well as the bones, are given to the priest, and the prohibition against consuming leftover sacrificial meat does not apply to the bones. See Zvachim 35a. Consequently, the bones are the property of the priest in all respects. Although this is the halacha with regard to all offerings, whose meat is given to the priest or Levi, the derivation is necessary with regard to a burnt offering to teach that although it is burnt completely, its bones are permitted. The Mishnah teaches that the verse states, and you shall sacrifice the Paschal offering to the Lord your God of the flock and the herd, in Deuteronomy 16:2, to indicate by juxtaposition that every obligatory offering, like the Paschal offering, may be bought only from non-sacred money. The Gemara therefore asks, and as for Rabbi Akiva, who derives from this verse, this is the law of the sin offering, that verse, and you shall sacrifice the Paschal offering. That's the end of the Amud. Thank you very much for listening, and wish you a good day. All the best. Bye.